Hello and welcome to another wonderful installment of live inspirational community collaboration. My name is Markabadi. I'm your host. It's an honor. Thank you. Not that you have much choice in it. I just started streaming and you just have to watch or click off. Today's guest is the phenomenal Alicia Dattner. She is hilarious, and she's going to be sharing on letting laughter meet you where you are. She's an internationally acclaimed award-winning comedian. She's passionate about embodied awakening. She combines consciousness with intelligence, with humor, which is really what it's all about. She pokes fun at spirituality, relationships, politics, and is ever ready to find a crack where humor can pour out. Her brand new stand-up special, Are You Dressed for the Apocalypse, is now available for free for a very limited time on aliciadattner.com. Everything is in the links below, whatever. So without further ado, live on stage from Portugal, Alicia Dattner.
Woo! Happy to be here. Thank you, Mark.
Hi.
It's great to be with you.
I did forget to tell you, as I said, I keep having to tell all my old friends that I have deleted the space between my first and last name. So
Markabadi.
I'm Markabadi now, yes.
Oh my God.
Too much space in the universe. So, so you're originally Bay Area?
I grew up in Connecticut, actually, and I found my way out west after college. So my mom and her family are from San Francisco. So I like to think of myself as a part way, third generation San Franciscan.
I see. Where are you now?
I am now in Costa de Caparica, in just south of Lisbon, Portugal, where I have spent my lockdown.
Right. And so tell us about your background. How did you're a comedian, right?
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. So ever since I was a kid, I loved comedy. I loved jokes. My grandparents would tell jokes, just street jokes, and there were always puns around. There was an atmosphere of humor. The humor held a very high status. If you could make other people laugh in the family, that was a big deal. And I don't think they ever wanted me to be a comedian. It wasn't like, you should go do this for a career. It was like, this is a nice thing to do socially. I think they wanted me to do something professional, something high status. And I decided to pursue comedy because it just felt like the most fun thing you could do. And I'm somewhat averse to worky work. And it turns out comedy is a really lot of work. So I started doing stand-up in college and have not really stopped since then, but I've carved a very kind of unique, different path than what a lot of people do in the club system, which I loved and failed miserably at / decided against following and pursuing. And it's like you start to see that the longer you do comedy, the more you realize there's really not one way to do it. There's the main way to do it is to be funny. That's the most important thing. So that's a plus.
It does help.
Yeah,
so do you feel, do you associate, because obviously you've got the Jewish history, do you associate with the whole Mrs. Maisel side of things?
I can't stand that show. I watched every episode.
Yeah.
So maybe I love it. I don't know. But it does. It just.
That show. I watch every. I never miss a show.
Oh, full of paradox I am. Yeah. I love it. I hate it. I don't know. It's totally unrealistic. Like, she has a team of writers standing behind, I mean, it's the 50s and she just gets on stage and she's never done it before and she's suddenly hilarious, and look at all of these things that I'm suddenly so confident and funny, and look, and she's suddenly touring around the world. I don't know, it just, and then she has this woman who's just like, you know, eating laundry soup to be able to just like serve her and help and further her career, like with no remuneration. I mean, like who has a person following you around who just begs to be your agent and just, you know, gets out there with it, you know, and doesn't even get paid? I mean, come on.
You didn't like it. It wasn't
ridiculous.
It's too unrealistic.
It doesn't feel very realistic to me. I'd like to see that happen in real life. Someone who's just like, please let me work for free. I'll be your agent. I'll make it happen for you.
Well, I you know, if somebody's so inspired by a person, maybe it can happen.
Maybe.
Anyway, so no to Mrs. Maisel, but yes to the Jewish comedy. Do you find that? I find that there seems to be an excess amount of Jewish comedians. Can we explain?
There's a lot of Jewishness in comedy. Well, I mean, I think, you know, partly we just have this, we value comedy highly. We value humor. We like to make each other laugh, you know, and we like to be witty. And I think that's a big reason why. It's just like, we want to make each other laugh. So we start making other people laugh. I also think, you know, there's a lot of neurotic lineage in the Jewish people. And so, you know, we want to find, you know, there's also a high value on education and wisdom. And so bringing education and wisdom and, you know, thoughts and being, you know, thoughtful and finding some way to turn all of this neurotic, you know, obsessive stuff into some kind of a gift for other people. It seems like it goes pretty well together.
Right. It almost makes sense. It's like we're designed for
kinda.
It, you know?
Yeah.
So you talk about paradoxes. Do you find that you come across a lot that, like, is all the comedy, is it all just identifying paradoxes, or is there something else? I mean, what's the fundamentals, do you think, of making people laugh, or what is it when people laugh? I mean, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, you know, I started studying comedy. I read Freud's jokes and their relationship to the unconscious, and I read all these like really interesting texts about humor and what humor is, and scientific studies on humor, and you know, as well as watched a lot of comedy. I really think comedy is anything that makes you laugh. I mean, first off, it's just like, let's not limit it to anything. I'm not saying I won't get into a deeper discussion of it, but like, comedy could be anything. Comedy could be performance art. Comedy could be a glance. It could be a fart. It could be you know, a deep and powerful observation that is turned inside out. It's surprise. It's recognition. Right. It's when the paradox of two ideas that are next to each other that come together that don't make sense, but somehow there's a parallel, and one is connected with the other, and it's the surprise of recognition that happens when we go, and our brains are literally, our neurons are disrupted in that moment. Right. Like we make a new connection where there was not one before.
Right. So it's a new neural net forming through surprise.
Totally.
And parallel paradox.
Totally.
Paradox. That's a good name for a book.
That is pretty good.
So in your comedy, you create archetypes, you create characters.
That's one piece. Yeah. I mean, I do a lot of like sort of stand-up where I'm kind of a continual character throughout the show, you know, as you saw my last show, my previous show. And I'm, you know, but I would say, yeah, like I enjoy creating, I've got this new character I've been playing with for the past year or two called Olga. And she's a psychic, and she is from the old country. And so that's a fun combination.
Well, maybe she can join us later for a quick chat.
Yeah.
She's got anything to say. you know, I'd like to hear her views at some point about, you know, COVID and government conspiracy and stuff.
I have no idea what she would say at this
Exactly.
point.
So is that the way it works when you bring these archetypes, that you literally don't know what they're going to say next?
Oh, totally. Yeah, no, I plan nothing out. I have no idea what Olga is going to say. I also love that she is not me. So whatever she says, I can kind of pan on her, and I don't actually, you know, I can't predict, or, you know, I mean, I actually do like a spiritual process when I put the character on, more because it's a psychic character than because it's Olga. But yeah, I'm like, you know, working with some deeper energies, trying to bring both surprise and absurdity, as well as maybe some spiritual insight.
Right. So do
But
you find,
secretly?
yeah, I mean, that's spiritual, yes, secretly, the spiritual insight, are you finding that's like, are you finding, well, how are you finding it different now with the whole COVID shutdown? Because of course you're touring and doing shows and stuff, and I think, you know, you had it initially, you were stuck somewhere. Where were you?
Well, I was in Bali when this started,
Right.
and I met a guy there, and we found our way here because we decided Portugal would be a nice place to get stuck together.
Right. Right. But how are you finding it's affecting your routines, your comedy, your output? Is this fuel, or is it a dampener? A Dattner.
You know, a Dattner. That's terrible. I'm
So
Dattnering down.
I was Dattnering down here. That was terrible.
I don't know. You know, I feel like Olga has been really fun because I can just say anything I want. I don't have to worry. You know, I mean, there's so much controversy right now about how we're all. There's a lot of division. There's a lot of separation, and Olga is fun because I don't have to prepare. I don't have to think out how I'm gonna be. You know, because I'm also a coach, and I also, you know, have a spiritual perspective, and so like. Sometimes I get a little caught up with my, you know, the creative resistance in, oh, how is this going to come across? Or, you know, honestly, it's been really difficult to create in this period because I'm out of the country. And so I have a very different perspective right now about what's happening than people who are in the country. And also, I don't know, I have a lot of different perspectives about what's going on that I hold all kind of next to each other. And yeah, I don't know really. I feel like there's so much confusion, and I you know, I'd love to be like the beacon of light and just go, here we are, it's all, you know, it's all okay, everyone, you're going to be fine. And you know, I just, my work, my comedy comes out of me discovering the light and the truth and the, you know, the integration with the light and the dark, which is what happened with this, you know, stand-up show, Are You Dressed for the Apocalypse? You know, really looking at the planet and what's happening right now. You know, sustainability and the environment and like what's happening with that. And so I haven't come to a place of really knowing what to joke about.
Do you think that because a lot of the comedy is based on those sort of conjoining parallel levels of paradox, that you find yourself almost extra confused about your own personal opinion?
Yeah, I mean, I am holding so many paradoxes at once that, and comedy is really based on, I mean, it's holding paradox, but it's really based on having an opinion, having one firm opinion that you say, this is what's happening, this is the truth, this is my attitude and my opinion about it, and this is my reaction to it. And this is an act out based on what I just said. And I honestly don't have one opinion. I don't have one perspective. And so it's very difficult from that place to make comedy. I don't mean to be depressing, but it's like there's, you know, there's so much more going on here. We could make fun about that. I mean, that's probably where I'm going to start making jokes, is like just that the truth is really multifaceted right now.
So what is the so what about humor being used as a spiritual bypass versus a spiritual awakening?
That's such a great question. And I really want to say there isn't a line. Like, let's not say, you know, okay, over here, you good people are using comedy for spiritual awakening and you bad people are using it as a bypass. You know, like, I think, you know, we can also say that with therapy, like a spiritual bypass or an emotional bypass. I think it's a spectrum, you know. Let's open it up and let's say, you know, using depression is a bypass, and using food is a bypass, and using drugs is a bypass, and television and social media. Like, what if we said humor is a step up? What if it's harm reduction? What if humor is a better way than some other thing that you might have used in the past? And what if that's the spark that that allows you to open something up for yourself? And you know, just like spiritual bypassing, you know, at least you're doing something. At least you're like giving yourself some kind of bigger perspective. I really think that, you know, there are people who use humor as a bypass, and that is definitely like a psychological experience that it's really common. And we can start to look at that. Oh, am I just really not able to deepen? Am I not able to go past this wall of like, haha, it's funny, or sarcasm, or but I think it's better than not doing that at all. It's better than some tool that really is more harmful.
So
I don't know, that's my opinion.
Something's better than nothing.
Something's better than nothing. Is that, what do you think about that? What do you think about?
You know, I don't know, but there's another notion that came to my mind, and it's like, some people find very offensive things funny.
Mm-hmm.
Now, humor, we're talking about, we like humor, humor's good.
Yeah.
Is it still good when people are finding offensive things funny? And then,
so this is such a great question. I think I also have to say that there's a spectrum here. So to me, it's really like let's depoliticize humor. I don't know how else to say that, but like, let's let humor be a place where people can have an emotional, psychological, spiritual release. And let's not decide personally for other people who gets to laugh at what. Let's decide for our own selves.
right.
And let's see how much of our humor and our laughter can be attuned to the frequency of awakening. Let's see how much we can like not get triggered by. So I happen to be dating someone who happens to laugh at things that I find like, whoa, I can't believe you just laughed at that. And it reveals things that I am surprised that I see, wow, there are probably some attitudes and opinions and ideas here that, whether he believes or doesn't believe, that touch him at a root place, a very deep subconscious place in him, that explode him in laughter in a way that he watches my show and he kind of smiles. He watches my comedy and he doesn't think I'm that funny. You know, he'll chuckle maybe, but like, you know, something that's like really out there that I find like really offensive, he's super into. And for me to say, you know, to get mad and to say, what are you doing? What are you laughing at? Like, it has actually been an opening experience for me to practice actual acceptance of someone else's humor. And I feel like if we tamp down on humor, on the places where you can let off steam, blow off steam, it's just going to come out somewhere else.
Right.
And maybe people laughing at offensive stuff, to me, is better. It's a way for them to let it go and to feel and let their stuff be around, you know, to get off gassed, right, instead of hitting someone or making a mean remark towards someone. I don't know, I think it's a start. And I wish I could just be the queen of everything and say, this is no longer funny. And that is happening actually in comedy. A lot of people are like, you know, things are changing, but I also think there needs to be enough space for people emotionally.
Right.
That they don't feel like, oh, now I have to be in this box and I have to be politically correct in my language and I can't laugh at it. You know, like, how can we allow more?
So there's a kind of a freedom to the laughter. It's like a sacred space.
I think so. I don't like it, but I think it's important. And I think if we believe in something different, we should promote that kind of comedy.
Right.
We should promote, because comedy that raises our vibration, comedy that's not mean, comedy that's not heart closing, you know, is comedy. That's the kind of comedy that wakes people up. And if you believe in that, watch people, go see comedians who do that, support them.
Yeah.
In this, have them, their presence in the system grow, amplify their voices.
Do you think there's a way to train people to be more funny?
Good question. Why, in fact, I happen to help people do that.
Do you do funny?
I do.
Funny coaching?
I do funny coaching. I help people be, if they want to be stand-ups, I help them write jokes. I help people, I kind of channel humor a bit, in a session. Like we'll be writing a joke about something and they kind of won't, and something will come through me for them, for their voice. And I give it to them. It's like part of the cycle of the flow of funny. I think the biggest thing that we can do for our sense of humor is to see what makes us laugh and to cultivate literally our sense of humor. Like what tickles you. And again, that's what comics do.
And again, going back to that notion of some things are offensively funny and to some people. You're saying at this stage, if somebody's like, hey, I want more humor in my life. I want more laughter in my life. Are you saying, look, just forget about your fear about what might be funny and what not, and what might be offensive and what not, and just cultivate the things that make you laugh, regardless of how offensive they might be, almost like an exercise to sort of exercise the demons and totally. Exercise the dog.
Totally. And I realize I may sound like, not who I am, but I totally believe in that. I totally believe, I don't know who I am anymore.
You definitely sound not like who you are.
Yeah. What I love is cultivate, so I'll teach a workshop and then I have people just, it's like 10, 12 people all in a space who are just all encouraged to bring their self-expression there, and your self-expression, I don't believe in bridling it. I really believe like, let's just see who's in there, because if we don't let it out, we don't get to discover what our voice is. And if we are constantly going, can I do that? Oh, can I not do that? What happens is we just shut all the way down. And that's where most people are, is mostly shut all the way down. So I really believe in just giving a little cocoon to people. I don't believe you should go on YouTube or go, take out a New York Times ad with the crap you just wrote and, who knows if it's offensive or not. I think take it into a small space with a small group of people where you can just really go for it and then see what happens. And for me, through the transformative process of being in a workshop, rather than saying, oh, you can't say that, I have people use NVC when they're giving feedback. And so I have people, if something is really intense, I'll say like, wow, when you said that, I felt you're really tight in my chest. Rather than saying you're being offensive, I say what the impact is on me, on my emotions, on my body, on my experience as a person in front of them. And then there's a relational process where that stuff starts to open up and get worked out. So, it's kind of like therapeutic.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So let's talk about the, something that's come up in these interviews time and time again is this notion of sort of archetypes and like other personalities that exist within ourselves. Um, how important is it for us to sort of embody other characters inside ourselves, for sort of self-expression and for accessing the truth of our humor? Does it help us if I now say, yes, I'm actually Ogre the laughing giant, and this is my character, and this is how I speak?
It totally helps. I mean, it just helped me for you to do that. So it totally did it for me.
How do people find their archetypes, their characters inside themselves?
Yeah, again, I think just like beginning to play. I love having people take an improv class, or I will, for myself, like I will, I've done a lot of Jungian work and parts work. And so I'm just starting to, family, internal family systems. And so like I'm identifying, okay, there's my 3-year-old, there's my 5-year-old, there's my inner critic, there's, and letting that and actually talking to them, writing down, having dialogues with them, and then trying out playing with other people. Like Olga has been playing with Sergey. And so like there's more that develops inside when you not only are just doing a character, but you have a character with a relationship with another character.
Right.
It's so important to embody these parts because they're swimming around and they want to be expressed. And number one, it's good for you to know what the different parts of you are. And number two, it's good for your creativity and your flow to get to try on new things and play and just be totally silly. So I think it's incredibly valuable. And the ability to do a character, I mean, I have so many moments. I mean, the end of a joke is often an act out, which is basically you doing a character. You or someone else you were talking to, or you're doing a dialogue, and to be able to take on their expression, their voice, their body, their if I didn't do that, I don't know what, right. I wouldn't have a lot of comedy.
Yeah. Yes, because I remember your last stand-up show was you did a couple of impressions of your mum, I think it was. It was brilliant, because you get to feel and obviously I've got that connection to the Jewish background, which makes me really appreciate the Jewish mother jokes.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I don't know where it comes from, but it's something in the mitochondria, I believe.
I think so.
So what are the next steps for you then? How do you see this unfolding for you in this apocalyptic time?
I really feel like this show it's so timely. It doesn't directly address COVID. It doesn't directly address Black Lives Matter, but it really addresses the bigger systemic ideas about what has us living in an unsustainable world, and how do we want to meet this awareness of what's happening on the planet right now, environmentally and spiritually.
Right.
So yeah, I'd love to maybe update this new show. I'd love to tour it. I'd love to tour it around the world, but I also am aware that it's kind of like a very culturally specific, addressed to people in the States.
Right.
So, I'm working on a podcast. I'm working on a TV pilot, and I can tell there's a new show brewing, but this one has just happened, and the other one before that you saw just happened. So.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned Black Lives Matter, and obviously all the stuff that's going on with the protests and even the riots. Are there edges? Like, do you have to be Black to talk about Black issues in comedy?
That's a great question. I mean, I think if you're going to make fun of Black people, you certainly have to be Black.
Same like if you're going to make fun of Jews, you have to be Jewish.
Yeah. You have to be Jewish if you're going to make fun of Jewish people. So for sure. you know, I haven't found my way deeply into being able to talk about race. I feel like there's so much more for me there to I think, you know, we have to be comfortable having conversations out in the world with other people and having these conversations just that are straight, that are not like jokey, funny conversations, to be able to, it's kind of like, you know, when you want to like give your kids like a sex talk, you know, the talk about sex, and like you have no idea how to do it, to then make a comedy show about it would be very difficult. But you know, because you know, you could feel
Sounds
yourself.
like a great idea.
It does sound like a great idea. Maybe I should start that.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to be Black at all to talk about Black issues. I think you have to be aware, and you have to be you have to have a sense of humor about yourself and your awkwardness if you have it, and you have to have an opinion that needs to be heard, and you have to be comfortable making a mistake and crossing the line and apologizing and doing it wrong, and you know, and being okay with, wow, shoot, I really tried. I have a joke that I tried to do, and a friend of mine who is white and teaches white people about talking about race, suggested that I don't do it. So like, okay.
Don't do it ever again. Is that?
She suggested I don't do it in my stand-up special. I don't know if that was an ever again comment. I think I thought that I was on the right side of that joke. She apparently did not. She thought either that it wasn't a good joke or that it would be misinterpreted.
Are you going to do this so we can all judge you?
Oh, this is terrible. I'm going to see if I can remember it. It's
all
going
right.
to take a second.
So preamble. This is a potentially offensive joke.
Potentially offensive, and oh God. So let's see if I can find this. I'm looking for it in my joke file. I have in case you all can I it's a little edgy too. Can I say edgy things?
Absolutely. I mean, as long as you don't say fuck or shit.
Okay, I won't say fuck or shit.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Like that's not allowed.
Okay. So shit, where is this? I think it's very funny.
You see, I mean, I love that identity that there are different opinions in the world, and everyone's got a different opinion. One person's freedom fighters, another person's terrorist, and that's always going to be the case.
Yeah.
It's never going to be the case that everyone's going to be, oh yeah, we're all yin now, or we're all yang. Yeah. There's always the duality. Yeah. And so while there's always the duality, what do we do? Do we just avoid the duality, or do we embrace?
I think we embrace it. I think we embrace the duality, and we keep winking and nudging and saying, but it doesn't really exist, does it? Right? I mean, we keep embracing it, and we keep also, you know, toggling back to mention the witness and say, you know, by the way, this isn't real.
Right. All right. So I'm sitting in the non-real witness while toggling back and forth to my two dual selves.
Don't you think?
Yeah, I'm doing that, but I'm still waiting for your offensive joke. I mean,
I know, I'm looking for it. Potentially. All right, I'm going to see if I can recreate it, because I'm looking for it in my. I was going to brag about how wonderful Evernote is, and now I can't. It's just. Totally
I usually brag about how good Evernote is, and it crashed up the last 3 days, so I'm unbragging now.
Yeah, it's like, come on, look inside of the folder that I'm telling you to look in. I'm looking up. All right. So I'm going to just try to recreate it.
All right. It's going to be even worse now, isn't it?
It is going to be worse now. Yeah. So,
but this is what you're demonstrating right now, is the courage of comedy, right?
Yeah. Except I still can't accept that I can't find it.
Oh, I see. So now that's your Jewish neuroticism.
It is. It's so neurotic. It's here, search and jokes, Hollywood.
There's a Hollywood joke as well.
Yeah, it's a Hollywood joke.
Does it have Jews in?
Okay, I found it. So this is about privilege. This is acknowledging my privilege, and you know, it's like I mean, I'd say like as a white woman, I totally have like, you know, nothing terrible to complain about. Like pretty much all my problems are very high quality problems. I mean, you know, sure, having a Jewish nose, being a woman, you know, being short. I'm not super skinny. Like it's hard to get a leg up in Hollywood, but not as hard, I'm sure. Like really not way less hard as if, you know, than if I were a woman of color. I mean, their blowjobs have to be probably twice as good as everyone else's.
Was that it? Was that the joke?
That was it. That was it.
Okay. Yeah. I can absolutely see why somebody might.
Why she would say, don't tell that joke.
But you know,
But I'm on the right side of things.
Right. Exactly.
Right?
I mean, you're absolutely.
I mean, come on.
You're identifying the injustice, and at the same time, you're identifying the sexism in Hollywood and the.
Right?
Yeah.
I think when I thought of it, I thought it was pretty funny. But it was suggested that I hold back. So we'll see what happens now.
Right, exactly.
What kind of backlash I receive.
Well, that was good. I like it. So how do you what do you do to prepare to like?
That was a lot of build up for a joke.
But I think what it identified is that when we say things, when we reveal a conflict in society, the question is, I mean, is that a function of comedy? What is the anthropological or the sociological function of comedy? Like on a wider sense, rather than just like therapy for the self.
Yeah, I mean, I think number one, therapy for the self. Number two, I think there's a political aspect of just really giving voice. I mean, being the jester, you know, being the coyote, who the trickster, who is really pointing out what can't be said unless you're saying it as a joke. So your head could literally be chopped off if you said something serious, but you can be the one with the, you know, one of those things that the jester wears, that funny hat.
Yeah.
Ba-dum-bum, kidding. And then you don't get killed, and you actually can say things that no one else can say without that added perspective of humor. I mean, think about Jon Stewart when he made that speech 10 or so 15 years ago at the National Press Club, and then Stephen Colbert doing that at the National Press Club, and so many moments of just incisive, really cutting, really intense truth-telling. George Carlin, Richard Pryor,
Bill Hicks,
Bruce, Bill Hicks, saying things that can't be said otherwise. And especially now. I mean, I didn't live before, so I don't know, but it feels like it just keeps getting more intense and more scary. And you never, you know, under dictatorships, comedians can make jokes where if you said things that you could, you know, that were serious, you would be put in jail. You'd be put to death. There's so many, and I also think just, again, like on the global scale of not only confronting authority, but also confronting our own egos and confronting the parts of us that don't want to look at what's really happening, the parts of us that don't want to step up, that don't want to speak, that don't want to look at our own behaviors and habits that are contributing to an unsustainable way of life, whether that's personally or politically or environmentally. It's a place where you can walk the line and you can actually open someone up in a way that they wouldn't have been willing to if you just said, hey, you're doing something fucked up.
Right. So it's like a pressure release valve for society.
Yeah, and it's for awakening. It's an awakening tool that is like no other. You literally cannot say certain things without, without making them funny, and have people be willing to receive them.
The gesture role you talk about, my friend, the rabbi, was talking about, the native, was it Hawaiian culture has the gesture role, Z? Heyoka. Say again?
Yeah.
Southwest. Heyoka.
Heyoka, yeah.
Is this gesture role. And it seems like a lot of the indigenous, the older traditions have this pressure release valve. And my friend was telling me also about on movie sets, how they actually hire a kind of a scapegoat to kind of be the butt of the jokes for people. Literally, it's their job to be the butt of the jokes.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah. Yeah, I had not heard it until just the other day.
That's fascinating.
Exactly.
Do they know?
Do who know? The people who are
Does
hired.
the person who's getting hired know that they're going to be the butt of the jokes?
Absolutely. But do the other people know? I don't think so. I think they're kind of like hidden, like inner spies. But
what do you think that's listed as in the credits?
I'm not sure if it necessarily
butt face.
Pistons or something. Yeah, butt face. But this notion that we are using humor to process things that are too scary for us to look at? Is it fear? And is fear really connected to fear of being rejected ultimately? And then is it about rejection and love and acceptance? Do you find as a comedian you're more accepted or more feared?
Both.
Yeah.
I mean, what's amazing again and again, both in my own career as well as when I lead a workshop and people get on stage who I've been working with for a number of weeks, is that there are things we are terrified to say. And we are absolutely certain that if we say them, we will be thrown out of the tribe.
Right.
And when we get up the courage with a pure heart, an open heart, a vulnerable heart, to say the things that we are afraid of, more often than not, we are met with love, acceptance, appreciation, gratitude, and laughter. And it is an incredibly powerful experience to be flooded with positive care, with love, with attention in the darkest, deepest places of our soul.
Right. So I mean, that sounds great. Do you start off with kind of like what you're terrified to say? Say it.
Yeah. I mean, but again, like it depends if it's me, it depends if it's someone else. It's like some people, they're terrified to say they dye their hair. Other people are terrified to say they got abused when they were little. I mean, I don't ever throw someone into the deep end and make them say something, and then we like get their show together and we make it tight and we polish it and we make it professional, such that, you're not just going up there and like, I wet my pants when I was 5, and expect that like people are gonna just go back.
That might be a good start for a show, actually, just that.
It might be. I did wet my pants. I peed in 4th grade in class. I don't know what
4th grade means. What year is that?
Yeah, I was,
how old are you?
9 or 10.
I also admit online that I wet my bed till very late.
No, it was I was in class. I was in school.
Wow. Oh, right. No, mine was always unconscious asleep.
It was not on purpose. It was, I asked to go pee and she said no. And I went back to my seat and it was the end of the day. And, I couldn't hold it. And kids started going, she's peeing. And I'm like, oh God. I'm trying to like use my polyester sweater to sop it up. my 80s polyester, like a reindeer sweater.
Right.
So embarrassing, mortifying.
So, in these having flooding light to the areas that are previously dark seems like both a paradox and something that can be very healing for everyone. And obviously those dark areas can't be flooded with light until you allow them out into the world, open them up. But obviously the dark areas are kind of dark. So is there always humor to be found in every corner of the world? Like, can we always find humor in even the most horrific things? Or is that a bypass?
So I'm going to say something that's maybe not popular, but I would say that God could find humor in everything. And if we were standing from the perspective of God with the awareness of the truth that there is an eternal part of us that can never be harmed,
right,
that we could find certain things funny that humans shouldn't laugh at, because everything is really an illusion, and we're just here to learn. And if we were God, not from a mean place, but from a loving place, right, we would be able to see the humor in everything, because the big joke is that you can never be harmed.
Right.
And I would never say that to a person who is hurting.
It's not very helpful.
It's not that helpful. But there are levels to degrees that we can begin to step back from our own pain. That in time, in the appropriate intervals, at the right times, we can begin to find things funny that we didn't before. So I think that there is a place for it, but sometimes it's only looking from, the witness perspective.
Right. But again, how do we know when we're starting to look at those things and open up the dark areas? How do we know what is coming from the place of acceptance of the witness versus the spiritual bypass of, oh, that was very funny? Like, how can we tell?
I never see a spiritual bypasser make a really crude, painful, mean joke. I have never seen that in my entire life. The only thing I see from spiritual bypassers are, it's all good, love and light, nothing is wrong.
Rainbows and unicorns.
10,000 unicorns. So I'm not worried about the spiritual bypassers making inappropriate jokes about the Holocaust. I'm concerned about, a different set of people doing, I would like the spiritual bypassers to find some fucking comedy. And I would like the people who are maybe going over the line to find a little kindness and a little light. So, I mean, I may be getting into semantics about what kind of bypassing is happening, but you know if you're laughing too much at stuff and not really feeling it, are you really? Like, I'm not talking to you, but I'm talking to whoever this is here.
What, me?
Saying, you know that you're just kind of, you're not really living it in, are you?
So it's about feeling it. Obviously, we've got the depths of the feel.
Yeah. Is it constant? Is there any place? Is there, how many times out of 10 are you allowing a deeper emotion to come through? How often are you able to actually reach ground and connect with truth? Are you able to cry? Are you able to be angry? Are you, can you pass the emotional range test?
It kind of sounds like heart rate variability for emotions.
Yes. Sounds good. Yeah, why not?
Emotional rate variability, ERV.
Yeah. Comedy.
How's your ERV these days?
Yeah.
Emotional rate variability. So what about maybe we can chat with Olga for a little bit?
Olga, she wants you want her to come and talk?
Sure. I'd love to ask her some questions.
What you want to know? Olga is here.
How did you get your powers, Olga?
My grandmother was struck by lightning, and her grandmother also, she almost drowned, but then she was struck by lightning while she was drowning. It actually took her up from the lake, and like this, and then she passed the lightning strike, and then I was saved. I did not have to be struck by lightning, but it is a much how do you say this, matrilineal, passed down,
yes,
through the
maternal,
maternal line.
Yeah, through the mitochondria, in fact, is
through the mitochondria. So lightning is in the mitochondria.
Absolutely.
Of all the ATPs, like lightning for Olga. So it's like little psychic explosions over.
Is there any way you find your psychic powers don't work?
Oh, for myself. I know nothing for my own life. It's very, very difficult. But for you, I know everything. But for me, don't know.
I see. What about things like lottery numbers? Can you tell me next week's lottery numbers?
I can. Not necessarily in the town or the city that you want. So I can tell you some lottery numbers.
I would have to play the lottery everywhere.
93, 16, 9, 2. But I don't know where.
I see.
You write it down?
I wrote it down, yeah. It looks like there's only 4 numbers there, but maybe 93 is 9 and 3. Is that possible?
No, this is, how many you need?
About 6. I say 6.
All right. 60, and then 14.
14, okay, lovely. And any particular date I can play these numbers, or do you not know that as well?
On the 13th of next June, next year.
Next year. 13th of June, 2021. Good, I got it.
Or every day. You try every day.
Try every day. Okay, so how have you used, like...
I wonder how many people just write this down.
Yeah. Well, maybe the 4 people watching. What are you finding is most obvious about the current situation from your perspective, Olga?
Most obvious. It's so obvious. Even a psychic does not need to be here to tell you that you cough on somebody, you spread disease. So stop coughing, it's very obvious. Wash your hand.
Okay.
Is silly. This is what you're asking, or the whole?
I get the point. The obvious is so obvious; it's too obvious to mention. Have you been contacted by the different governments to ask for your help in this matter?
Oh, I cannot tell you. I cannot say.
Literally.
Because, yes, I cannot. It's not something I'm at liberty to discuss.
Okay. And what about other people? Are you finding people?
Not to be a no, but I mean, I want to be a yes and to your question, but it,
You'd have to kill me. How are you finding people are reaching out to you more for your powers, and now in this time, or?
People laughing. They don't know what's really happening, so they just laugh and they say thank you. But no, Alicia, she does some different things. But Olga, people like to just take it as a funny joke, So I let them take it as funny joke, and then we just enjoy that, and then I slip in a little something.
It's kind of like espionage, sort of distraction.
Yes, yes, this is a very stealthy kind of teaching.
Do you think that people hear more in the subconscious than they do in the conscious?
Always, always. Because we don't hear words, we hear vibration, we hear mood, we hear intention, we hear the sound of the voice, we hear how the body talks, you know, very, very many, many more things happening than just word, blah, 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 you know?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So, is there ways to communicate not through words? Then, I mean, obviously body language and stuff, but do you sit and meditate and communicate with other beings?
Well, I am saying something to you now. If you want to know what it is,
Oh,
you just simply tune in.
oh, wow. Well, thank you very much. It's very kind of you. I accept your gracious compliment, and we'll see if we can make that happen at some point.
Well, but of course.
Yes,
Yes. Suddenly Olga come from France.
yes, exactly, exactly. So, well, wonderful. And is Olga? Are you seeing clients online, Olga?
Olga love to see clients online. Olga can't wait. Yes, please send the clients. Alicia, she has too many. Give some clients to Olga. She will give you so much goodness. She will make you laugh and she will make you so happy and she will tell you all the lottery numbers, but not really, just make things good.
I see.
Olga love to see clients. Why not?
What is Olga's best advice for me, Markabadi, in my life at the moment?
Mark, this Hawaii is good for you. It's good for a while. It's good place to be. The good roommate, it seemed like very good situation, but don't stay here always because make you soft, you know. They need like little go back to London for little, maybe 1 month per year, because need little balance, you know, little shock to the system.
Good.
This is the biggest advice.
That's good advice. And then with regards, I understand that Hawaii makes me soft. I agree. I think that's great advice. Where should I look to? You know, I would like to find community. And
not in community already in Hawaii. What is this?
Well, you know, there's a few people here, but I think you're right about being soft on the island. But you know, I mean, I have my place in San Francisco area, San Rafael. So where should I look to for community? I feel like America has got potential. Should I stay within the States or should I, you know, go south, north?
Don't spread too thin. You know, don't spread everywhere, like have to find this over here, this over here, this. No, don't all the time coming to chase next the community, you know. Have just a little exploration, little bit Los Angeles or Ohio, something like this.
And do you think that's going to stand, you know, withstand the coming apocalypse?
No. Little, you know, for now. You know, for now.
But I'm thinking long term. See, I'm
long term.
Family.
Long term. Why not Hawaii? Why not?
I'm worried about the locking down the airports unless you've got chips and vaccines in your eyeballs and stuff.
In Hawaii? Really?
Well, it's America, isn't it?
Well, maybe Portugal. You know, it's a very nice place.
All right. Okay. Well, thanks, Olga. Thanks for that tip. I'll take it under.
Yes, very few video camera here. No, always tracking, you know. I mean, your cell phone, yeah, always seeing you. But in Portugal, very little camera monitoring everything. Not like States, you know. Very, very, very nice not to be watched all the time, you know. Different feeling.
All right, good stuff. Thanks, Olga. Thanks for coming on. Maybe I can get Alicia back.
Oh, yeah. Did you guys have fun?
Yeah, it was great.
What did you talk about?
She gave me
Did
some
she
great,
flirt with you?
She sent me a psychic flirt. It was a little bit filthy, but
So inappropriate.
I enjoyed it.
I apologize.
No, it's
it
all
won't
right.
happen again.
You don't have to. No, honestly I liked it. So it's been great having you on, Alicia. Thanks for
It's been so much fun.
Where
Thank you.
People find you on aliciadattner.com?
Yes, 2 T's. Alicia, Dattner. Alicia like Alicia Keys.
Wonderful.
But go to my website instead of hers, Dattner.com, and people can get my new special, like for free. I'm
Absolutely.
giving it away.
I am going to go instantly and download it.
Do it.
And with regards to seeing people as clients, are you taking on clients at the moment?
I do take on clients. Yeah, I have room for a couple more clients.
Oh,
Olga did say. Yeah, I mean, if you want to work with Olga, that'd be fun. But Alicia does take clients.
She says she thinks you're hogging the clients a little bit.
Well, she's probably right. I mean, it depends what people are looking for, but I work with people to help them speak, bring humor into their speaking, write TED Talks, do a solo show. I direct solo shows. So do stand up, any of those things.
Perfect. And they can obviously find all that on your website.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. This was so fun. You're a fantastic interviewer.
It's very kind of you to say so.
I'm just telling the truth.
Well, I don't know in comedy. Is truth important in comedy?
Oh, yeah. Truth is king or queen, let's say, now that we're entering the age of the goddess. So truth is queen. Truth
is important. And that's why revealing the shadow is important, because that's the truth. That's what's there.
If you're not telling the truth, it could be kind of funny, like cute, like clever. But if you really tell the truth, you're going to break people open in the best possible way.
Right. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Alicia Dattner.
My pleasure.
I'm just going to close out the show. I'll take you off screen. Much love.
Mwah.
Oh, what a lovely show. So nice to have Alicia on from Portugal, and Olga, of course. Discovering your own inner humor, discovering your own truth, and the paradox that is always present. That's the joke. That is the cosmic joke, is that everything is always present in paradox. So no matter what you think is the truth, there's always another truth. And the ultimate truth is that neither exist and both do simultaneously. Hence, the mind-boggling neural does not compute notion of humor and notion of release from our entrapment, our self-entrapment. Because we blinker ourselves into a belief system and then we hold on to it rigidly. And as long as we're being rigid, just like if you fall down a mountain or a hillside, the best advice is to go floppy. That's what all the stunt people do. Floppy, just go floppy. Let your body be taken in any way. Because if you're rigid, you'll break all your bones in your body. Which is why drunks, when they fall downstairs, they rarely hurt themselves, because they're all just a little floppy and they're not there. And that's how they get away with it. So if we can be flexible and floppy in our consciousness, then we won't be brittle and break when tension happens. And if we're not brittle and breaking when tension happens, we're less likely to go, "Ow, you did that to me, you did it." And instead we can own it ourselves and empower ourselves with our courage to look at what it feels like, and to own the feeling and to honor the feeling, honor it. Honor the carnea. Yes. And playing with archetypes, bring in your other personalities, let them come out, have fun, develop them. Why not? Start talking to your partner with a different archetype. Start talking to yourself in the mirror. Write it down, as Alicia says. Have conversations. You'll be surprised at what magic comes out of your own inner subconscious. Remember, our subconscious is like 90% of us. 10% is conscious. If that, it's probably more like 7. So there's a lot of wisdom to be gained inside when we're courageous enough to look at it and to embrace the paradox. And everything's funny. when you're from that perspective. Cool. Thank you to my guest, Alicia Dattner. Thank you so much. Please like, share. Oh, I've got a book, Book Evolve, bookevolve.com, bookevolve.com. Did I mention bookevolve.com? Check it out. I've got an ebook actually as well, which is the book, but in e-form, so I can send it you. Cool. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure. Markabadi, I'm signing out. Please like, share, do all that fun stuff.